Having an irregular income can be extremely nerve-wracking and extremely annoying sometimes. I know this firsthand after working in the restaurant industry for over 16 years while paying off my $82,000 in debt. And it's difficult because it adds another layer to the whole planning of your finances every single month. And because of that, you just wing it. And why wouldn't you? Because if you don't know X, then how can you figure out Y? That's a little math talk for you. So where do you start? Well, you start with the irregular income budget. That's a freaking mouthful. We'll call it the IIB, okay? I don't know if we'll stick with that, but we'll try. This type of budget is for people of all kinds of industries. As long as your income has the potential to fluctuate every single month. So either you get paid 100% commission or you get a base salary plus commission, then this method is for you. So jobs like servers, bartenders, realtors, car salesmen and car saleswomen, any kind of software sales, entrepreneurs, or anyone who's self-employed in general. We're going to go into more detail, but at a high level, this method essentially forces you to distribute your money based on your needs. So you can kind of think of it like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that pyramid, and then flipping it upside down. But more on that in a minute. One thing I need you to remember when you're putting your budget together is that you're never going to be able to guess exactly how much your expenses are going to cost. I've been doing this for years and I still screw it up, but you can at least get close. And when you first start out, you're definitely going to be pretty wrong. But don't be afraid to do it. That's the most important part. Do not let that stop you. Do not let that freeze you from not setting up a budget and getting your debts paid off. A good rule of thumb, if you're really not sure how much an expense is going to cost you, then guess a little bit high. It doesn't hurt to guess a little bit high and give yourself a little buffer. Because then if you spend less than what you budgeted for, that's some money in the bank, right? Not for your pockets, it's gonna go towards your debt if you're still in debt. I'm gonna be very direct about that because if you let those little things hang you up, then you'll never get started and that's not a good thing. I've been there, I've done that. I don't want you to make my mistakes. I'm gonna stop the video right here, press pause, go get a piece of paper, go get a pen, because we're about to hop in my computer so that I can show you how to build your IIB. Let's go. Thanks for coming into my computer. I appreciate that. So before we actually put numbers to paper, we're going to go through and we're going to start structuring your budget. So we're going to categorize your expenses that you have every single month. And we're going to use that hierarchy that I mentioned to you earlier to do this. So I've split the hierarchy up into different tiers. And as we walk through each one, by the time we get to the end of it, you're going to figure out what your needs are and what your wants are. So let's get right into it. Here's tier 1. Grab your pen, grab your paper, write tier 1. And in tier 1, you want to put things that are your basic needs. So I've got shelter, food, and transportation. Transportation I've gotten there because you need to get to work. You need to be able to generate some sort of income. Therefore, you have to have some sort of transportation. Now, these are, like I said, basic needs, things to keep you alive. And always remember as well that once you get the initial list laid out, you can always adjust it and move things around. So just write your initial thoughts. Don't find excuses not to do this. Okay, so write those down, pause the video, and we'll move on to tier 2. So here's tier 2. Now, think of things that are still needs, but they're not the basic needs. And I've put examples here like utilities, medical, anything medical related, debts. And if you can think of anything on your end that might also go into this category that I didn't list here, then put it in there. These are just examples to get you thinking. That's all I'm trying to do here. And I know that your situation is going to be different from mine or other people's. So just try to put your tier 2 second level basic needs, if you will, if that makes sense. So tier 2, pause the video, write it down. Do not put any numbers. We're just creating the list. Okay, tier 3 is where it's going to start to become a little questionable because you can decide what's put in tier 3. So I would prefer that you put your extra debt payments in this tier. While it's not a minimum payment, right? We've got that in tier 2. You've got that handled. But if you have some extra money and you're trying to get rid of your debts, then tier 3 is going to be where you're going to put those extra payments. Also, and I kind of struggled with putting these communication items in tier 3 because I think nowadays with how much everyone uses their phone and the internet, I almost want to put that in as a utility. But for now, I'm going to leave it in tier 3. This is your budget, your personal budget that you're creating. If you feel it needs to be put in tier 2, then put it in tier 2. But try not to get too ridiculous with this because you need to reevaluate at the very end whether, okay, are these things wants or are they needs? Do I really need them to live off of? And it's usually a no, but I think that phone and internet can honestly go in tier 2, but I'm just going to leave it in tier 3 for now. I wouldn't be mad at you if you put phone and internet in tier 2, as long as it's not too expensive, okay? That's another thing. Be a little realistic here because this is your budget and this is how you're going to be spending your money in this particular month. And last but not least, tier 4, all of those wants that we have. I want you to write all of your wants down here because when it comes down to it, as you have money coming in every single month, you're going to be able to spend your money how you want. So if you decide that you don't want to spend very much money towards extra debt payments, then okay, that's up to you. And if you want to spend it on cable or Netflix or vacations or going out to eat, I don't recommend it, but it's your money. You can do what you want with it. But you're watching this video for a reason, right? You want to get some sort of structure around your finances, and that's why this is here. It's here to help you. So pause the video and write your tier 4 wants down. And then after you do that, I want you to go ahead and look at your whole list. And feel free to start moving things around and adjusting things and really think about if something is a want or a need, if you want to move it higher, if you want to move it lower, because it's going to be up to you. Now that you've got your expenses listed out and prioritized, it's time to go on to the next step of the process. So we're here at my new spreadsheet that I made for you. So I covered up this side of the spreadsheet on purpose. Ignore this area for now and pay attention just over here. So you've got your expenses listed out. To the right of those, I want you to write the monthly cost of each expense. And then to the right of that, I want you to put which week it is due. So you're going to have some expenses that you need to spend money on every single week, most likely. For example, groceries. So $400 for the month divided by 4, that's $100 a week. Hashtag math. Yes, I can do math. So do that with the rest of your bills. Going forward, what I would like you to try to do is to get the due dates for each of your bills to be staggered. So you might have, we'll say, all of your bills due the first week of the month. That is not ideal because that doesn't match up with how your income is currently coming in. So try to get a hold of the companies that you owe money to or your landlord and see if you can maybe switch when that payment is due. I know there's usually a range as to when you can pay your bills. So say you get your bill on the first of the month. Sometimes they're not really due until the second or third week, so you usually already have a little grace period. But if you don't, then maybe contact those certain companies and see if they'll work with you to kind of push that due date out a little bit. Now it's time to pause the video, write down the cost of each expense, and then write down the week that each expense is due. And then when you come back, I'm going to walk you through how you're going to work through your budget when you start having money come in. Now that we've got the 3 key components that we need to make this budget work, the expenses, the cost, and the week that cost is due, it's time to start executing the budget. I'll quickly explain the layout of this budget. Up here to the left, we have your weekly income. So as you're making money each week, you type in that number here. And then over here to the left, we have all of our expenses tiered out like we did before in step 1. And then we've got our costs, which is another input that we had already figured out. And then right here, the week that each of them are due, which we had already figured out as well. So we're just plugging this information into this side. Or I grayed out, not highlighted, I grayed out the weeks that each of these expenses are due based on what we talked about here. Because you want to make sure that you're tracking properly throughout the month and you're paying your bills on time. Here's a quick tip. A way for you to stabilize this whole budgeting method is this. If you can try to get to a point where what you make in the current week will be used in the following weeks, then that's ideal. That way you know how much you are going to have to spend. So you would want to get to the point where what you made in the last week of the previous month would actually be spent right here in week 1. That way it takes a lot of the guessing out of this whole situation. But if you are not to that point, then that's okay. That shouldn't be a reason to not do this. Still do this. Don't stop. Keep going. Keep trying. Next, what we need to do is find those expenses that we need to spend money on every single week. So our groceries and fuel. So before money even starts coming in, we already know that we have to split that amount of money up throughout all 4 weeks. So let's go ahead and put that in right now. Okay, so week 1 hits and we make $1,000. That's awesome. I'll take it. So how do we want to spend our money? Well, we've already spent 150 of it on groceries and fuel because we split it up, correct? Next, mortgage and rent, that's due the first week, so we have to spend that money there, correct? So now we have to figure out, okay, where do we want to spend the rest of the money? Well, the gas bill's due, so is the water bill, and then also our credit card payments due as well. There's $150. So now we actually have $100 left. $100 of that $1,000. So what are we going to do with it? We've already knocked out the bills that we have to pay. So let's go ahead and just pick something, right? Because the rest of these bills aren't due until the later weeks. So in this case, let's just throw $100 towards our health insurance. Just to put it there, we won't actually spend it because it's not due until the end of the month, but we'll kind of put it off to the side in a side account, which I'll have to talk to you guys about those side accounts in the future. So stay tuned for another video on that. Okay, we've got a bunch of green. That's a good thing. That's what we want to see. So we're actually even for the first week of the month. Perfect. Now we're going into week 2. Week 2, we'll say we only make $700 that week. Darn it, that stinks. Went a little bit down, but hey, we have an irregular income, so that's what this budget is for. It's okay. So how are we going to distribute that money for this second week? Well, do we have any bills due? Okay, well, the car loan's due, and that's $200. So we've got to spend $200 of that $700 on our car loan. We've also already spent $100 on our groceries and $50 on the fuel. Perfect. And then we've also got the internet due. Now, this is tier 3, and we need to be sure that we're going to be able to cover the rest of our expenses for the month. So it's due. It's a bill that we've kind of put out there as, hey, this is important. So let's go ahead and just pay that now because we need the internet. And if something happens later in the month, we've got an emergency fund, which that's another topic that we'll talk about in the future. So we're going to throw $50 there, and that brings us to $400. Okay, now what are we going to do with the rest of the money, the $300? Well, nothing else is due, so we can put it kind of anywhere we want. Well, we know that health insurance is very important. We put it in tier 2, so let's go ahead and throw another $100 towards that little side account that we're putting that money in for that due date at the end of the month, just to be safe, because we're not sure how the rest of the months are going to go. So let's try to fill up that account as soon as possible. We also just want to start putting some money towards that student loan minimum payment. I know it's not due until the 3rd week, but it's a very important payment to us, so let's just throw $200 aside in anticipation for that due date next week. So now we're at our $700. Everything's green. Awesome. We're seeing green over here as well because we're covering some of these expenses. Over here, over by the student loans, you see that we put $200 towards it, but it's not green yet because we haven't fulfilled that full expense. Now we come into week 3. Let's say week 3 we make $900. Cool. That's pretty good. I'll take it. It's not that $1,000 that we made the first week, but that's okay. We knew that this was going to happen because this is our job. This is our career. This is how we get paid. No big deal. We're not going to bitch about it. We're just going to do what we do and continue down the process. So how are we going to distribute that $900? Well, we've got to hit up everything that's due. So that electric is due. We got to pay that. We've also got $150 going towards our groceries and fuel. We've also got our car insurance due, so that's $100 more. Okay, what else is due? What else is due? Oh, those student loans. That's right, but we already put $200 in the side account. Cool. We have $200 more to put towards there. Green. We've fulfilled our student loan minimum payment. That is awesome. So then we've got a little bit of money left. So what are we going to do with it? Well, we've also got to pay our cell phone bill. Yes, that's in tier 3, but we're pretty confident that we're going to be able to pay for everything else that we need to from tier 2, right? If you look up here, we've just got one more bill in tier 2 to fulfill. That's pretty good. We're really happy about that. So let's go ahead and just pay that cell phone bill and not worry about it. And now we're at $650. So what are we going to do with the rest of that money? Well, this is where we have to decide, okay, how are we going to spend it? Let's just say, you know what, let's knock out our health insurance right now. That's going to be perfect. And now we've got all of our bills fulfilled. Holy smokes, we're doing really, really good this month. And we've got money left over this week. And we still have next week to work too. That's pretty cool. I'm really, really excited about that. Now, this is the whole choose your own path thing. You remember those Goosebump books where you could choose your own destiny? I loved those books. So we could either choose to put things in tier 4, which I didn't even bother listing here, or we can start paying those student loans, that car loan, that credit card payment. We can start putting extra money towards that. So let's just say, you know what? I want to throw $150 more towards my student loans. Oh man, we're over, but that's okay in this case because it's extra towards our loans. I'll have to change that formatting. That's a me problem. So we're already getting ahead on our student loans. I'm really, really excited about that. Plus we have this 4th week. Now this is where you can kind of fall off the rails because you know that you still have a whole nother week's worth of pay left to receive. It's easy to fall off the track, especially when you see those dollar signs and you realize like, hey, I have some extra income to put towards whatever I want. Maybe I should go out to eat. Maybe I should buy some clothes. And this is where the winners and the losers are made. Now week 4 comes along and we have a down week. We make $400. Oh, that stinks. But you can feel comfortable because you've got all of your other tier 1, 2, and 3 bills really covered, your minimum. So what are you going to do with that $400? This is where the choice is yours. Your actions right here are going to determine the outcome of your debts, how quickly you're going to get your debts paid off. If you do have an irregular income, I hope this gave you the confidence to start a budget so that you can start paying off your debts or managing your money a little bit better. Don't look at your income as a roadblock. Look at it as an opportunity. And don't let yourself put those roadblocks in front of yourself as to why you can't do something. You have to start, and you have to start today. And you've got to realize you're going to mess up. I've messed up in the past in my budget, and I still mess up every single month. Everybody does. Do not be afraid to start just because of that. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to check out this video. I hope you found some value in it. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, and comment down below because I love you more than cheese. And that's weird because I really, really love cheese. Adios.